Hello, everybody, welcome back to Gyandan. Today is the third day of 30 days to more powerful vocabulary, the romance of words. From now on, we want you to look at words intently, to be inordinately curious about them, and to examine them syllable by syllable, letter by letter. They are your tools of understanding and self expression. Collect them. Keep them in condition. Learn how to handle them. Develop a fastidious but not a fussy choice. Work always towards good taste in their use. Train your ear for their harmonies. We urge you not to take words for granted just because they have been a part of your daily life, speech since childhood. You must examine them, turn them over and over, and see the seal and superscription on each one, as though you were handling a coin. We would like you actually to fall in love with words. Words, as you know, are not dead things. They are fairly wriggling with life. They are the exciting and mysterious tokens of our thoughts. And like human beings, they are born, come to maturity, grow old, and die. And sometimes they're even reborn in a new age. A word from its birth to its death is a process, not a static thing. Words, like living trees, have roots, branches, and leaves. Shall we stay with this analogy for a few moments and see how perfect it is? The story of the root of a word is the story of its origin. The study of origins is called etymology, which in turn has its roots in the Greek word etymon, meaning true, and the Greek ending logia, meaning knowledge. So, etymology means the true knowledge of words. Every word in our language is a frozen metaphor, a frozen picture. It is this poetry behind words that gives language its overwhelming power. And the more intimately we know the romance that lies within each word, the better understanding we will have of its meaning. For instance, on certain occasions, you will probably say that you have calculated the cost of something or other. What does this term calculate really mean? Here is the story. Years ago, ancient Romans had an instrument called the hodometer, or the road measurer, which corresponds to our modern taximeter. If you had hired a two-wheeled Roman vehicle to ride, say, to the forum, you might have found in a bag a tin can with a revolving cover that held a quantity of pebbles. This can was so contrived that each time the wheel turned, the metal cover also revolved and a pebble dropped through the hole into the receptacle below. At the end of your trip, you counted the pebbles and calculated your bill. You see, Latin word for pebble was calculus, and that's where our word calculate comes from. There are of course many words with much simpler histories than this. When you speak of a surplus, for instance, you're merely saying that you have a sur, French for over, plus French for more, or a surplus. That is, you have an over more than you need. Should you be in a snooty mood for the nonce and happen to look at some rather haughtily, your friends might call you a supercilious, a word which comes from the Latin supercilium, meaning that eyebrow you just raised. That person you are so fond of who has become your companion. Come, Latin for width, and panis, Latin for bread, is simply one who eats bread with you. That's all. Again, trumps. In a bridge is from the French triomphe or trump, an old-time game of cards. In modern cards, one suit is allowed to trump over or to trump in other suits. And still again, in the army, the lieutenant is literally one who takes the place of the captain when the latter is not around. From the French lieu, we use it in lieu of and tenir, to hold. The captain in turns derives from the Latin word caput, head. Colonel comes from columna, the column that he leads. If by any chance you would like to tweet your friend, the Wall Street broker, just tell him that his professional title came from the Middle English word broker or a brochure, or one who opens or broaches a cask to draw off the wine or liquor. We still employ the same word in original sense when we say that he broached or opened up the subject. Finally, the broacher or broker became a salesman of wine, then of other things such as stocks and bonds. These are the roots of words. We next come to the branches. The branches of our language tree are those many groups of words that have grown out from one original root. Let's take an example. The Latin term spectere, which means to see, contains the root spec, and from this one root have sprouted more than 240 English words. We find the root hidden in such words as spectacle, those things you see through. In respect, the tribute you give to a person you care to see again. Inspect, to see into. Disrespect, dis, unwilling, re, again, spec, to see. Therefore, when you treat someone with disrespect, you make it plain that you do not care to see him again. Introspection, looking or seeing within. Spectator, one who sees or watches. Turning to Greek language, which has so largely enriched our own, we discover the root appearing in English as graph. This means to write. It has been a prolific source of words for us. We have telegraph, which literally means far writing, phonograph, sound writing, photograph, light writing, stenographer, the one who does condensed writing, a graphic description, one that is just as clear and effective as though it had been written down, mimeograph, to write a copy or imitation. We have in our language a host of roots such as these. There is the Latin spirare, meaning to blow or breathe, from which we get such English words as inspire, breathe into, expire, breathe out, perspire, breathe through, respiration, breathing again or often. And there is also the word liable that comes from the Latin ligare, to bind. This fascinating root lig has branched out into oblige and obligate, to bind to do something. Ligature, bandage or binding. Ligament, something that ties two things together. And with the root no longer so obvious, league. Those nations or other organizations that are bound together, and even the word ally, which is from ad and ligare, to bind to one another. These then are the branches. We turn now to the leaves. If the roots are the origins of the words and the branches of the word families that stem out of them, the leaves of this language tree would be the words themselves, and their meanings. Each given word in its beginning had, no doubt, only one meaning. But words are so full of life that they are continually sprouting the green shoots of new meanings. Shall we choose just one word as an instance of the amazing vitality of language? The simple three-letter word run up to this moment of writing has more than 90 dictionary definitions. There is run in your stocking, and the run on the bank, and a run in baseball. The clock may run down, but you run up a bill. Colors run. You may run a race or run a business, or you may have the run of the mill, or quite different, the run of the house when you get the run of things. And this little dynamic word, we can assure you, is not yet through with its varied career. It is any wonder that our unabridged dictionaries contain as many as 600,000 living and usable words. Words sparkling with life, prolific in their breeding, luxuriant in their growth, continually shifting and changing in their meanings. Words even have definite personalities and characters. They can be sweet, sour, discordant, musical. They can be sweet or acrid, soft or sharp, hostile or friendly. From this time on, as we enter our word studies, try to become self-conscious about words. Look at them, if possible, with the fresh eyes of one who is seeing them for the first time. If we have persuaded you to do this, you will then be on the way to the success that can be won with a more powerful vocabulary. That was the end to the third chapter. To be continued. See you tomorrow. Thank you for watching the video. Like, share, subscribe.